pros and cons. There hasn't. I don't know. I don't. Hmm. I guess the pros is that people like I want people to experience these things. Like actually nowadays I don't care nearly as much. But be like right after the awakening, when I was going through the unfoldment, when I was accessing a lot of jhanas, like every time I went through an unfoldment, I had an opening, had a spiritual experience or insight. Like the first thought I had was I want to tell people about it. Like I want other people to experience it. Just like how back in the days when I was doing psychedelics, like I like giving people LSD more than I like giving myself because I want people to experience the beauty of being. So I guess the Bernardo, I don't really care if people experience it. So actually, I mean, it's nice that they experience it, but I'm not going to go out of my way to like, hey, look at this thing. But I guess the pros from that perspective is being open about your attainments and talking about this publicly. People have been written to me saying like, oh, I resonate with your journey a lot. And, how do you do this or how do you do that? So I guess I could help them experience if they want to. Yeah, I usually don't talk about it until people ask me. So I'm throwing all those things out there to the universe. So people who are on the path, when they see it, if they resonate with it, and we have a conversation about it, and they can, the awakening can deepen through them as it did to me. Then that's one of the pros. Is that I can, I guess, give some pointers to people that are on the path. Yeah. Yeah, and then I don't know if there's any cons to it. There hasn't been any that much like, um, yeah, there hasn't been that much negative effects about this that I can see. I wouldn't even think of like the pros as pros really. Yeah, it's not something that okay, oh yeah, like talking about this and getting people to awaken. That's fucking awesome. Yeah, I don't really look at it like that. It just
Yeah, I
yeah.
think I'm thinking the question is less for how it's beneficial or not beneficial to you, but more so of, I guess, on a cultural level. And let me like just run this past you.
Oh, okay, okay.
So I think one of the things that I'm seeing now is you have a lot of people creating these non-duality channels and talking about their experience. And
Right.
there's probably some of those people that are having genuine experiences and they're actually going through these things, and maybe they're not well integrated and whatever, but there's probably also people that are maybe deluded and maybe they don't know what they're talking about. And so I'm wondering if there's like that kind of trend now that it's like, oh, people see Frank is talking about his awakening. I'm also going through an awakening. I could also create a YouTube channel and and be a spiritual guru or whatever.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about it all that much. Um, I don't know. It's just part of the happening. I think. Okay, here's the thing. With the realization, is like you can't really fake it. Like it's if you're gonna fake your realization, it's gonna catch up to you. Yeah.
What I'm saying is I believe you will catch up to, but what I'm saying is you could probably convince other people, right? Like what is your
Yeah.
what is your thought on that? Like, because how do we really know if somebody's awakened? Like how do we think about that? Like, does it take an awakened being to recognize an awakened being? Like, or like
Hmm.
how do you think about that?
When I look out into the world, I don't really see an awakening anymore. Like on a conventional level, sure, I can see this person maybe have more contraction than that other person. I can point it out to them, like, okay, if you do this technique, you can release some of that contraction and conditionings. But I don't know, I just those questions don't really occur to me anymore. Like when I see it out into the world, I don't see individual unawakened beings walking around. I just see like the wakefulness just always being awake to itself. Right. So like the question of whether talking about attainments and talking about experiences is beneficial as a culture or not. Yeah, like I said, one way it could be detrimental from the way you describe it is people who don't have genuine experiences or whatever on that level. They talk about it and then other people start following it and maybe they lead them down the wrong path. But and then yeah, I just think like with realization, it's like you can do that. You can sort of like talk about it and not have it, but then eventually it's not gonna work out. in a sense. I don't know how to explain it. That's a really interesting question. I haven't really thought about that one.
It's
Yeah.
it's interesting because I think some of these questions from your like they're just like not questions that arise in your mind, but it's more of like a relative question. Like that's something that you would think from a relative
Yeah.
perspective because it seems like it's like once you kind of see through once the ego becomes kind of transparent, it's like all egos become transparent. Now there's no
Yeah,
separation.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I say I don't see egos in people anymore. Like I can sense different like contraction on the conventional level, but I don't really look at it as an ego. You know, it's like, okay, in this moment, due to the cause and condition of the universe, this person is very contracted right now. And then, but that contraction is the same energy as, the vast spaciousness of like God or whatever you want to call it. So to me, it's just different degrees of contraction and expansion or different degrees of vibrations through the same energy. So like the line between like awakening and not awakening and enlightenment, non-enlightenment, that line has been dissolved. Like I went through a phase like right after my realization where I kind of had like enlightenment ego where the rest of the society kind of have would just recontextualize itself into like this whole spiritual awakening thing. But then eventually that goes as well. So like right now, like yeah, that I don't know. I don't know how me talking about this is beneficial to myself or others anymore, really. Yeah.
So
I
it
think it's
does.
a good thing people are talking about it, though. I think it's a good thing that you're talking about like non-duality, I think it's funny because before when I was into bodybuilding, like the bodybuilding community was so small. It was just a few people talking about it. And then it grew into a whole industry, and then there's like this whole question about who is natty, who is not. Like is this guy on steroids? Is this guy like is it natural? And then I think the same thing might be happening in like the non-duality world. I don't know. I don't really watch that many non-duality videos, so I don't really know the scene all that much, to be honest. So like I can imagine that to be something that would be an interesting thing just in debate, who is this guy like enlightened? Is it like natty? Like that's why I use the word natty to describe the natural states. I took it from a bodybuilding term. Are you full natty like in terms of like your attainments? Like
Yeah.
are you in the natural state? Like I use that word natty.
Are you naturally awake, or are you just tripping on 5 grams of shrooms right now?
Yeah, are you just tripping on shrooms or are you just faking everything? I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. I do think in general, like it's cool that people are talking about it. Yeah. Yeah. If I can choose between, there's no one talking about this on the internet or a lot of people talking about it, even though there are a lot of people who like on a conventional level could like be quote unquote deluded. Like I said, that truth will take care of it, will course correct itself. So you can't, it's hard to like just fake realization. I mean, people can have a pretty good sense of that, I think. Yeah, it will catch up to you. Like a lot of gurus that just abuse their power, and eventually it catches up to you. So if you want to do that, go ahead. It's the force of nature will course correct itself. So I think the more people talking about it, the more this awakening thing gets seeped into through people's brain and systems. I think ultimately it's a good thing. I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think I mostly agree.